Olivia Chen woke to someone tapping on her car window in the parking garage. At 29, she'd never imagined she'd be living in her 15-year-old van with her 4-year-old daughter, Maya. But 6 months ago, her landlord had sold the building, the new owners had tripled the rent, and Olivia's paycheck as a junior accountant couldn't cover it. She'd tried everything, searching for affordable housing, asking for raises, taking on freelance work. Nothing was enough in a city where rents had spiraled beyond reach. So she'd made the hardest decision of her life. Rather than move Maya to a dangerous neighborhood or separate from her to stay in a shelter that didn't allow children past a certain age, Olivia had turned her van into their temporary home. She told Maya it was an adventure, camping every night, and her brave little girl had accepted the story with a trust that broke Olivia's heart daily. They'd been parking in different locations each night to avoid attention. Store parking lots, quiet side streets, anywhere they could sleep without being harassed. Tonight, exhausted after a double shift of accounting work followed by food delivery driving, Olivia had made a mistake. She'd parked in the executive parking level of the office building where she worked, thinking it would be empty overnight. She'd been so tired she hadn't even checked. Now someone was knocking, and through the rain-streaked window, Olivia could see a man in an expensive dark coat holding an umbrella. Her heart raced with panic. Security would kick them out. Or worse, call social services. She could lose Maya. "Please," Olivia said through the cracked window, her voice shaking as she held Maya closer. Her daughter was still asleep, clutching her worn teddy bear. "Please, we'll leave. Just give me a minute to wake my daughter and we'll go." "Don't call anyone, please." The man's expression was hard to read in the dim lighting, but his voice was surprisingly gentle. "I'm not calling anyone, but it's pouring rain and freezing cold. You and your daughter shouldn't be out here. I'm Ethan Carrington. I own this building. Please let me help you, Ethan Carrington." Olivia's stomach dropped. The CEO of Carrington Enterprises, the company she worked for. The man whose quarterly reports she helped prepare, whose wealth could probably buy everything she owned 1,000 times over. He was seeing her at her absolute lowest, living in a van because she couldn't afford basic housing. "I work for you," Olivia whispered. "I'm so sorry. I'll resign. I know this looks terrible. I just needed somewhere safe to park tonight and I thought the garage would be empty." "You work for me?" Ethan's expression shifted to something like concern. "What's your name?" "Olivia Chen. I'm in accounting. Junior level. I process expense reports and help with audits. You wouldn't know me. I'm nobody important. You work for my company and you're sleeping in a van with your daughter." Ethan's voice carried an edge now, but Olivia realized it wasn't directed at her. It was anger at the situation. "How long has this been going on?" 6 months, Olivia admitted, too tired to lie. Maya stirred against her, and Olivia automatically began stroking her daughter's hair soothingly. "My landlord sold the building. The rent tripled. I couldn't afford anything else in this city. I've been looking, but everything requires first and last month's rent plus deposit, and I can't save enough when every dollar goes to food and gas and Maya's preschool." "Why didn't you ask for help?" "We have employee assistance programs. Because I was afraid if anyone knew they'd call Child Protective Services and take Maya away from me. She's all I have. I'd rather live in this van forever than lose her." Olivia's voice broke. "Please don't report us. I'm trying so hard. I'll find something else. Just please don't take my daughter." Ethan was quiet for a long moment, rain drumming on his umbrella. "I'm not taking your daughter, but I'm not letting you spend another night in this van either. Grab what you need for tonight. You're coming with me." "Sir, I can't." "That wasn't a request, Ms. Chen. You work for me, which means I'm responsible for ensuring my employees have basic necessities like safe housing. The fact that you've been living like this while working for one of the wealthiest companies in the city is unacceptable. So please gather your things and let me fix this." Olivia wanted to refuse, wanted to maintain some shred of dignity, but Maya was starting to wake up, and the van was so cold, and she was so tired of pretending everything was okay. "Just for tonight," she finally agreed. "Until I figure something out. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Tonight you need sleep and your daughter needs warmth." Ethan led them through the rain to his car, holding the umbrella over Maya, while Olivia grabbed their overnight bag. Maya, still half asleep, looked up at this tall stranger with curiosity but not fear. "Are you a prince?" she asked with the blunt honesty of 4-year-olds. "You look like a prince from my storybook." Ethan's serious expression cracked into a small smile. "Just a regular person who wants to help you and your mommy." "What's your name?" "Maya. This is Honey Bear. She's my best friend. We've been camping in our van, but it's cold and Mommy cries sometimes when she thinks I'm sleeping." "Maya!" Olivia was mortified, but Ethan just looked at her with increased understanding. "Well, Maya, tonight you and your mom are going to sleep somewhere warm. No more camping for a while. Does that sound good? Can Honey Bear come too?" "Honey Bear is definitely invited." Ethan took them to a hotel. Not just any hotel, but a luxury suite with 2 bedrooms, a full kitchen, and a view of the city that took Olivia's breath away. "Stay here tonight. Tomorrow we'll figure out a longer-term solution. There's food in the kitchen. The bathroom is stocked with everything you need. And if you require anything else, just call the front desk and tell them you're my guests." "I can't afford," Olivia started, but Ethan held up a hand. "This is on me. Consider it an emergency advance on your salary or employee assistance, or a loan you can pay back when you're stable. I don't care what we call it. What I care about is that a member of my team has been living in a van for 6 months while I was too disconnected from my own employees to notice. That changes now." After Ethan left, Olivia ran a hot bath for Maya, watching her daughter's delight at bubbles and clean, warm water. They ordered room service, and Maya's face when the food arrived on fancy plates made Olivia cry all over again. Her daughter had been so brave, so accepting of their situation, never complaining about sleeping in the van or eating cheap food or missing birthday parties because they couldn't afford gifts for other children. "Mommy, is the prince going to help us find a real house?" Maya asked as Olivia tucked her into the impossibly soft bed. "I don't know, sweetheart. But tonight we're safe and warm, and that's what matters. I like the prince. He has kind eyes like Honey Bear." The next morning, Ethan called Olivia and asked her to meet him at his office. She left Maya with the hotel's childcare service, which Ethan had arranged and paid for, and went to face whatever came next. "I've been reviewing our employee compensation structure," Ethan said without preamble, "and I've discovered something disturbing. We pay our junior staff barely enough to survive in this city, especially single parents. You're not the only one struggling. You're just the first one I accidentally discovered sleeping in a parking garage. Sir, I'm grateful for last night, but I don't expect special treatment. This isn't special treatment. This is me realizing my company has failed its employees. I'm implementing immediate changes. Salary increases for anyone under a certain threshold, housing assistance programs, interest-free emergency loans, expanded child care support. But that's going to take time to roll out properly. In the meantime, I have a more immediate solution for you specifically." He slid a paper across his desk. "I own a townhouse about 15 minutes from here. It's been empty since my sister moved out last year. 3 bedrooms, fully furnished, in a good school district. I'm offering it to you rent-free for 1 year while you save money and stabilize. After that, we can discuss a reasonable rent that actually reflects your salary." Olivia stared at the paper, unable to process what she was hearing. "Why would you do this?" "You don't know me. I'm just an employee who processes expense, reports. You're a mother who's been living in a van to keep her daughter safe while maintaining your job and somehow still showing up every day to do excellent work. Your supervisor says you're one of the most detail-oriented accountants in the department. You've never been late, never missed a deadline, never complained, all while dealing with circumstances that would have broken most people." Ethan's expression was intense. "I'm offering this because it's the right thing to do. Because no one who works full-time for my company should be homeless. And because your daughter asked if I was a prince and I'd like to prove I'm at least a decent human being. I don't know what to say." "Say yes. Let me help you. Not because you owe me anything, but because you deserve stability, and your daughter deserves a real home." Olivia moved into the townhouse that week, and for the first time in 6 months, she and Maya slept in real beds in a real home. Maya had her own room, which she decorated with the few toys and drawings they'd kept. Olivia had space to cook real meals, to do laundry in an actual machine, to breathe without constantly calculating how much gas they had left or where they could safely park. But something else happened too. Ethan started checking in, making sure they had what they needed, asking how Maya was adjusting. Those check-ins became longer conversations, which became coffee meetings, which became dinners where Maya charmed Ethan with her stories and artwork. "Why do you care so much?" Olivia finally asked one evening after Maya had fallen asleep during a movie. "You've gone so far beyond what any employer would do." "Why?" Ethan was quiet for a moment. "Because 7 years ago my sister was in a similar situation. Her husband left her with a toddler, no support, and barely enough money to survive. She was too proud to ask for help, too scared of being judged. By the time I found out how bad things were, she'd been living in her car for a month. I was building my company, making millions, while my own sister slept in a parking lot with my nephew because she didn't want to burden anyone." His voice was rough with old pain. "I swore then that if I ever had the power to prevent someone else from suffering like that, I would. When I found you and Maya in that van, I saw my sister and nephew. I saw another chance to do better. You did save us. You gave us a home. I gave you what you deserved to have all along. Basic security and dignity. You saved yourself by being strong enough to keep going, by protecting your daughter, by showing up every day despite impossible circumstances." Ethan met her eyes. "Olivia, I didn't just knock on your window to help a struggling employee. I knocked because seeing you and Maya, seeing that devotion and strength and love, it woke something in me. I've spent years building wealth and success while keeping everyone at arm's length. You let me be useful. You let me matter in a way that actually means something. You matter to Maya. She talks about you constantly, draws you pictures, asks when Mr. Ethan is coming to visit. What about you? Do I matter to you?" Olivia looked at this man who'd knocked on her car window in the rain and changed everything. "You terrify me, because I'm falling in love with you. And I'm scared you're just being kind, that this isn't real. That you'll realize we're too much trouble, and you'll take back everything you've given us. I'm not taking anything back. And this is real. I'm falling in love with you too, with your strength and your love for your daughter and the way you've maintained your grace and dignity despite every reason to be bitter." Ethan took her hand gently. "I know the power dynamic is complicated. You work for me, I'm your landlord, I have more money and resources. So I'm going to be very clear. You don't owe me anything. Not gratitude, not affection, certainly not a relationship. This townhouse is yours regardless of whether you want to date me. Your job is secure regardless of what happens between us. I'm offering my heart with no strings attached because I want you to choose me freely, not because you feel obligated. I choose you," Olivia said softly. "Not because of what you've given us, but because of who you are. You knocked on a car window when you could have just called security. You saw a problem and immediately worked to fix not just my situation, but the systematic issues causing it. You've been patient with Maya, kind to me, and genuine in ways that wealth usually doesn't allow. I choose you because you've proven yourself worth choosing." A year after Ethan knocked on that car window, he proposed to Olivia in the townhouse that had become their home. Maya, now 5, had been in on the secret for weeks and could barely contain her excitement when Ethan knelt down with the ring. "Olivia Chen, you were sleeping in a van when I met you, doing everything possible to protect your daughter while maintaining your dignity and your work ethic. You taught me that strength isn't about having resources, but about using whatever you have to take care of the people you love. Maya taught me that kindness matters more than wealth and that being called a prince means having a kind heart. Will you marry me and let me spend forever proving I can be the partner and father you both deserve?" Olivia said yes, while Maya cheered and announced that she'd always known her prince would save them. But actually, Mommy had saved them first, and Mr. Ethan just helped. The wedding was beautiful but meaningful, held in the garden of the townhouse that had given them refuge. Maya served as flower girl, walking down the aisle with Honey Bear and wearing a dress she'd helped design. In his vows, Ethan spoke with emotion that surprised his business associates. "I knocked on a car window in a parking garage and found 2 people who changed my life. Olivia, you showed me that true wealth is measured not in bank accounts, but in the strength to keep going when everything seems impossible. You taught me that being a CEO means taking care of everyone who works for you, not just the executives. Maya taught me that kindness and safety matter more than success. I promise to honor the strength you've shown, to build a life where neither of you ever has to be afraid or cold or uncertain again. and to never forget that the best thing I ever did wasn't build a company, but knock on a car window in the rain and ask if I could help. The single mom who'd been sleeping in her car with her daughter had discovered something more valuable than housing assistance. A partner who'd proven that sometimes the people who seem to have everything are actually searching for what matters most. That knocking on a window can be the beginning of love rather than judgment. And that the truest measure of wealth is having someone who chooses you not for what you can give them, but for who you've been strong enough to become. Despite everything trying to break you, if this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below about a time when someone helped you when you needed it most. Your stories inspire us all,